Alright, Steven here. I'm going to work on the QL, quadratus lumborum. So again, for low back stuff, this is one option. I don't want to neglect the psoas or Iliopsoas, and I'll do that in another video. But a lot of times if we're twisted side to side, the QL on one side might be really tight and we need to kind of reset that position a little bit. So I'll show you how I run through the QL, and I'll give you another option on how others like to do it. But typically I like to start in a supine position, set up like a bridge pose. So I'll usually lay down to the ground, soles of the feeling ground, knees point towards the ceiling. I'll take that ball and I'm gonna look for that space between the top of the pelvis, that iliac crest, and that lowest rib, that 12th rib. So usually I can kind of push in from the side and I can feel there's this bundle of muscle that's a little bit more lateral than just those erectors. So there's kind of another layer outward, which is the QL. And so I'm gonna take the ball, I'm gonna place it in that space between the top of the pelvis and the ribs. And then I'm gonna straighten out that leg on whichever side I'm on. So for me, it's the right side. And then I'm gonna start to shift my body, just kind of walking the shoulders over until I can get a vector that pushes towards the spine from the side a little bit more. And I can press into this left foot and lift that left hip up a little bit. But if I go too far to a side leg position, I might get blocked by the ribs or the pelvis. So I can kind of hang out in this area and work. There are 3 points that I tend to look at. So one is, start from the bottom. So if I work the ball down, I'm right at the top of the pelvis. I'm kind of along that bony edge right at the top. I'm above that iliac crest, but I'm also pushing in towards the spine from the side. So I have that kind of vector. If I think about the pelvis and the spine, I'm kind of pushing into that corner at the bottom. So I can find that space, I can hang out, and I can explore there. Maybe just breathing, taking a few breaths. I also like to work a pin and stretch in this position. So I can kind of hang out with the ball in the same position. And then I usually take the inhale. On the exhale, I would pull the opposite hip. So that left hip, I'm trying to press up towards the ribs. And that creates some length on that right side. Let me inhale, I relax. Exhale, contract. And so we can hang out here, we can work at first that attachment at the top of the pelvis. The second point would be the middle, the kind of belly of the muscle where the motor point would be. And so I can hang out in that area. I can do the same thing. I can find a spot. So typically there's a little knob right in there that I'm gonna work into. And so I can hang out, I can breathe, I can do a little pin and stretch if that's what feels good. You can take your time. Or if we want to move to the third spot, then same idea. If we talk about the pelvis and the spine, then we have ribs above that. And we're looking basically at the corner where the QL is meeting the lowest rib. And so I have that vector pushing in towards the spine from the side, a little bit upward, so it's at that attachment. And I can hang out in that space. I can breathe. I can look for a little pin and stretch so I can start to move that left hip up towards the ribs to lengthen that right side. And we can work there. There are others that like to use a block. This can be kind of intense. I'm using a lacrosse ball, so it's a little bit more firm ball to work in. But some people will want to use a block and elevate to put the ball into the QL. So if you're using a myofascial release ball, maybe this is good. With a lacrosse ball, it might be a bit intense. So it kind of depends on which ball you're using. For me, I tend to get enough out of just laying on the ground. But you can try that one and see how it goes. And if you want to work into iliacus, you can do that in another video. All right, enjoy.